We're gonna discuss succession, and succession means moving from one hand of leadership to another. But succession does not mean that maybe the owner has entirely exited the planet. It means maybe the owner, the current owner right now, is engaged in other things, including retirement. So we are looking at succession and how then do we handle the baton and hand over to the next leader or set of leaders. So I think to take us through is succession planning, building sustainable leadership for the future. And we're going to start by asking KCB, what and how can school owners prepare their successors to be financially literate and capable of managing school finances effectively? Maybe you can also give examples, if any.
So one of the very important things is to have very concrete corporate governance structures. So earlier on during the performance evaluation training, we were told about the various policies. One very important issue that we should have is corporate governance structures. So when you have a school, it should have a board of directors such that we eliminate the issue of having key man risk. In a way that if someone is away or someone is outside the country, the school operations come to a standstill, yeah? So that is what we're trying to totally eliminate. So when you have proper corporate governance structures, you may find yourself having a board of directors, so that it's just not you who's in control. You'll find yourself having management, and it was very interesting to see that there was going to be someone who's a supervisor for the middle school, upper school, etc. It is also very important to ensure that you have training and development. It cannot be that the persons who have the knowledge do not have in place structures to trickle down the knowledge. So if you have an expert in a certain field within the school, how do we have sessions to try and cascade this knowledge? And this could be done internally, or if you have training programs that are offered externally, please do have so. So what I can say is, most importantly, let us try and eliminate key man risk. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Makofi kwake. Asante sana Beth.
From most schools that I've visited, there are two critical pieces when it comes to fleet management. The first piece is administration. And in administration, what we look at is very basic. The ability to be able to plan so that children are picked on time and dropped on time. And that's normally our generally transport manager. Then the next pillar is normally the driver. The driver is more or less the person you delegate the safety of the children from home to school and back. In most schools, now when I go to my example, in most schools, you'll find that if you check our drivers, we have quite a sizable number of aged drivers. And in fact, bulk of the time, the talk is the more experienced the driver, the better. And when some of our drivers retire, we seem to have a big challenge. The second one is normally the fleet and transport manager. Bulk of the time is one isolated person that works alone. And it leaves us wondering what is it in for succession. So some schools have been able to take a hybrid system where they go for hire and they also own their own vehicles. If you hire, it has its own risks and challenges because the control moves to a third party. But if you own, the risk remains with the school because the school has the ability now to run their own vehicles. So from where we are seated, the success of a school being able to transition lies in putting systems and processes that will be able to supersede the ability to depend on human. And we've been able, as an organization, to come up with very good programs to help transition that. Because that transition, as you've rightfully asked, is not a very simple transition. Correct. It's not a very simple transition, and it's a transition that has a very big component in it called trust. Because anybody who runs that fleet, you must be able to trust him, because you've been bequeathed trust by parents of the children. So the most successful school that I've seen so far, is a school that has been able to build on capacity building. It's a school in Nairobi, and what they've been able to do over the years is, at any given time, their senior drivers are more or less like training of trainers. Their transport manager has somebody understanding him, and we've been able to work jointly together so that when it comes to transition, there's always somebody who's knocking on the door to be able to pick up from where the school had planned. Number two, some of those schools have been able to invest into systems that we've been able to work very closely together, so that as a school, you are able to monitor what's happening in your operations without necessarily waiting for reports that come in later in the evening. So I think I'll be able to talk more because there's quite a bit to discuss.
Thank you, and very detailed indeed. So we move on and we ask Bwana Kimani. You are a veteran and a guru in this field, and we just want to ask, what are the lessons you've learned along the way as you try and prepare for leadership handover or succession, or maybe mentoring someone? What are these lessons that you've learned along the way?
Thank you, CJ, and thank you, Akili. There are many lessons, and I don't know whether I'll be able to answer them with this short time, but there are very many lessons that I've learned. And most of them actually have been alluded to even before, when most of the speakers were talking. We've learned about the three circles of life. There's business, there's family, and there is ownership. And if we are not able to actually learn about the three circles and know where we are at, that's one of the problem. That's something that I learned. The other thing that I learned is about the life cycle of a business. There are 7 life cycles. Just like a human being, businesses will die if we don't create a new birth. Because the curve goes like this. You're born, you grow up, you become old, and you die. But now, they talk about creating a growth curve before you hit the peak. And that is the innovation that comes about, and that is the strength that you put into it, and that is learning about the system. The first stage of any business is the idea, which all the directors had an idea and they put it into place. The second one is break even. And mostly we are told to take 2 to 3 years to break even. Then after you've broken even, there's a profitability where you are able to pay yourself something. But what I've learned is in between the idea, the startup, and the profitability, and before the profitability, there's a lot of mismanagement of funds. Why? Because there are no structures, as she has talked about. And once we start getting the profitability, we think that that is the end of it. And yet it's not. That's actually the start of it. Because after profitability, we'll go to sustainability. And after that, there is the issue of scalability. Because you can never scale before you put system and structures in place.
Correct.
And then, of course, what we keep on talking about more often than not, succession, which actually is the last thing. So it is a life cycle. And then the succession comes in, and then we bring in either we exit, sell the business, or we bring in new people to take over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very detailed with great touch of experience. Move to Mary to hear from you from CIC's perspective. How can school owners integrate succession planning into their long-term wealth management, or maybe even because some of our schools own some other property like estates and all this? How can they integrate all this?
Thank you very much, CJ. Allow me to begin by bringing to us that life is full of risks. And did you know that even us sitting here is full of risks?
Okay.
And therefore, the moment you birth that business in the name of school, you must bear in mind that the risk begins from day one. And therefore, the issue of being aware of risk and beginning to cover yourself against any eventuality or any loss begins from the day you begin construction. Allow me to say this. Even the staff that are teaching, if you didn't have your staff, then the investment isn't there. Why do we come? Because you have teachers who are teaching us. What if they are sick? What if they have an issue that is not taken care of? So what can you do? You can have a policy for the staff, medical cover. Think about them, ahead of them. Think about their pension. When they retire, what will they take home? Are you able to think even about them? Before you congratulate them, do they know that you care? Is your family covered also? Or when they are sick, you can't even report to school. You can't even look at your business. Find peace of mind. CIC comes with the solution of peace of mind. CIC comes with the solution to cover even that driver. You said many drivers are old, others are not able even to bring the children to school safe. You're not very sure. Do you have cover for those children? We have a solution. You need to sit, relax as a director, engage with us, and we are able to give you a solution. I think, CJ, I can't finish here, but we have a lot that we can share. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that very in-depth analysis and, bringing in all the products of CIC and how they can get in. They can move on to Mr. Ali from Light Group of Schools, Light Academy. What are the key elements that are considered non-negotiable when grooming a successor for a school?
Thank you so much, CJ. First of all, I will want to bring attention to directors. Good evening. I will want to say this. I want to speak in a perspective of a school that is not within the country, a school that is not just in East Africa, but I'm pretty sure that you're hoping and dreaming of your schools all over the world. So Light Academy Group of Schools is part and parcel or an element of schools that are existing in more than 175 countries in the world. Then you ask me the non-negotiable elements of succession. Let me start by saying this. If you would want to have a successor in your school who will bring the dreams that you've had for years, even after you have left this world, then you need to have somebody who has a deep understanding of the ethics and the culture of certain schools who will bring your dreams. And for doing such a thing is you need to groom that kind of a successor since in the early years of learning. I would want to say this, as I am seated here, I'm a product of Light Academy Group of Schools. I studied in Light Academy. I was once seated in Form 1 somewhere in that school. Then I did my computer science, I did my master's, I did my psychology. Now in the third line of management. You can guess there are 2 more to go. Now, I would want to say this from the perspective of Light Group of Schools. What I have learned is that you bring up an element that has a culture that is embodied, and they genuinely understand the mission and the vision and the unique culture of a certain school. That is to mean Mr. Ali, seated here, can be transferred right now to Kazakhstan, and I will fit into the management level without any training, simply because we have the same kind of culture. That is, right now, most directors are taking second generation, like you said, their sons, cousins, and so on. If you have 100 schools, will you give 100 children to your schools? Definitely not. But what you will do, you will bring up people from the society who will fit into your dreams.
Correct.
And that is what I will feel. Of course, there are other leadership skills and so on, but they can be done by other institutions that can just train. But for somebody to actually internalize your dreams, then you need to bring up from those schools. So I will advise directors, in your schools, we have talented people. We have talented Kenyan children. Dream one day that Kenyan child from another family, you're a Kikuyu, a certain Luo, will lead your school in Kisumu. Why don't we dream of that? That is what I feel is the most important element of grooming the society to have directors who will run your dream even years after you have left. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bwana Ali Kamau. Bwana Victor, I just want to ask a question. Looking back, what would you advise school owners seated here today to start doing now if they hope for a smooth and sustainable succession plan? What should they do? Please, you have the mic, all right.
Oh man, there's so many things.
It's the very
but
top.
I can give a synopsis. You know, one of the first myths that I used to have was you start a business, after 5 years you start preparing for succession. So we did this funny thing. After about 6 years, I started looking at it. And you know me, when we started the business, I was the waiter, I was the cook, I was everything. And then you have everybody coming up, and then you start feeling like, okay, now I think we're settling down. So we went and got these managers. I know people from the industry, so I changed my whole HOD team. We had an F&B manager who was from a 5-star hotel. We had an IT manager. We got a finance manager with several years experience. And I even got a general manager. And I was like, yes. So when I would sit in a room, you know that myth of I want to sit with my peers. And let me tell you, they didn't last a year. They left one by one.
Wow.
The finance manager was the first one. He told me, I've looked at your books.
And I'm not
I
seeing
don't
where we're
think
going.
you'll make it. He told me, I'll give you I'm not sure this business is going to survive. And he left. And this is 2020. And one by one, and the only one who left was a very belligerent manager who hated my guts. And he might wish he left, but he was there for a while. But what happened, which was so embarrassing, was the people that I had demoted or brought other people on top of them were the guys I was left with.
Wow.
And now I had to enter into a management meeting, swallow my pride, Now you are dealing with people who are like, sisi ndio tuko kama Kenya Power. I don't know if you've ever felt that. Ever been demeaned or... And so I realized that it's a myth. This thing of 5 years then exit or something like that, you have to fill your business. And you have to create a culture of succession. So succession is a culture. It starts from the board and it goes all the way down. Everybody must know that the furniture will outlive them if you buy good furniture. From the chairman of the board, my dad keeps saying, I'm not here forever, I will exit. And so when he says that, none of us have got security of tenure. So we carry that and we build that all the way in the management meetings. We make sure that the best employees are rewarded. I'm looking at what Ali was saying, and I had a chance to sit next to my brother there who gave the talk earlier, the principal of Swaminarayan. I don't want a lazy son of mine anywhere near this guy.
All right.
I will not let any lazy child anywhere near his job. And you see, that's a culture. So even my blood needs to fight for their space. So everybody knows that we have to fight to get a seat at the table. My children need to compete with the CEO of the company to enter into that space. The CEO is the first son, because that's the person that has been there for 10 years. That's the person that is going to run that business while my child is still in school. But we have this thing of rewarding blood. So we reward a child simply because they... No. We reward them because we reward them with shares, not with ownership, not with running the business. And so in my mind, what I have learned is succession is a culture. You build that culture. Let everybody know that I'm looking at the guy at the top. I speak it in my meetings all the time. When I sit with my managers, I ask them straight on the face, who's behind you? I need you with 2 people behind you because you're going to leave. And if you want to grow, I will not promote you if you don't have somebody behind you. So some of them promote people under duress. And I tell them, you have no choice. And it's not my business, it's your problem. You go find them, hire them, train them, and then tell me, this guy is going to take up my job. So when you create that culture, then people understand it's not personal. We're trying to create an enterprise that outlives us.
Wow, fantastic. Really hard decisions for people to make. But again, I get it. It's really important. I hope directors here agree with that just like in a drama cast, we must have an understudy, just in case on the day of performance, the main character anapoteza sauti. So an understudy. So maybe next time, and I went for another meeting, and I saw a CEO coming in and say, this is my shadow CEO. You can imagine, grooming. And we have some cultures that really help in this succession. Sometimes a little bit subtle, polite, but it's there. They're walking the journey together with the people that they want to groom to take over. Now I just want to move on and get back to, to Beth. Your perspective and the bank's perspective, what financial structures like trusts, maybe business continuity loans and all this can private school owners use to safeguard succession? And maybe cover it with your area of expertise, since you're in the area of law, what are these things that they can put in place?
Okay, thank you very much. So I will tie it as financial and legal structures that can help with succession. And a good thing, Victor alluded to it, you need to have a will. So in terms of having a will is one of the ways in which you can ensure you have succession. But another way in which you can, another legal structure you can use, which is normally not so common, is having a trust. So a trust is another way in which you can pass property And you don't even have to be deceased for you to pass a trust. A trust also assists in asset management, as the person will already determine how it is that assets are going to be divided. Trusts also come with a few tax benefits, in the sense that in terms of taxation, the rates are not as high as, say, personal income would be. And also, when you're transferring assets to a trust, you do not pay capital gains trust at the point when you're transferring them into the trust. You only pay the CGT at the point when the trust itself is disposing of the assets. So perhaps that's another area in which directors here can look into, having incorporated trust. So at times you find foundations have been incorporated as trusts, so that you can separate the assets from the director himself. And another thing, when you have some assets in a trust, they don't go through the whole succession process, so they are sort of segregated. So even from legal claims, that is an area in which you can be able to segregate your assets. Another way you can also protect yourself financially and legally is through having an endowment fund. In the States, most of the Ivy League schools, the reason they've been in existence for years is because they have very huge endowment funds. They form one of the biggest institutions as far as assets under management. We aspire to get there, but even at our own level, it's even as simple as having a fixed deposit or even a treasury bill that is giving you interest. And from that interest, that's how you're using, that is what you're using to operate. As you're operating, for your operating expenses, you're relying on interest only. And that is how even endowment funds operate. That the capital is used to generate interest or income, and then you rely on that. So when you get donations, don't be very quick to spend them. Try and see if you can put money aside. Another way you can assist yourself is through insurance. And thank you very much, Mary, for bringing this back home. Life insurance is very, very important. For instance, when you take a facility from a bank, at times you're told one of the conditions before drawdown is you need to get life insurance, yeah? And every year, your RM will call you and tell you, oh, have you gone to the hospital to get your checks? Or have you paid the premium? And at that time, unasema, RM ananisumbua, that time you're dodging their calls. But in the event you have a facility with a bank, and you, something happens and you die, your life insurance should come in and pay whatever it is was outstanding. So if there's something that I really need to insist, is whenever you take a facility from a bank, try and make sure that your life insurance cover is up to date without fail, so that in the event something happens, you're very much okay. And then other things, interest, diversify your income, invest in treasury bills, treasury bonds, money market, other financial instruments, so that you can make yourself, you can prepare yourself for whatever eventuality, and that the school can withstand whatever thing that would come as a threat to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. And when we are talking about life insurance, I was seeing Mary nod, yes, that's business coming. She's speaking for us. But again, in the same team, we are all playing together for one direct goal. And now, we want to move to ISUZU. Things are changing. We get to see new generation of even students who now say, how many of you remember the Leyland buses? Those buses that were in the Nyayo era. And they're still strong. Some of them will even say, kama tunaenda na Leyland mi siendi. So as ISUZU, I don't know, what are these innovative ways that you've put in place so that as we look at transition and succession, you also have some ideas in place to do your own transition into the future as our directors look into succession to the younger generation who will even be handling a more younger, population at school.
Thank you so much, CJ. That's a very interesting question, because 8 out of 10 people in this room actually own an ISUZU. So I'll be talking now to directly
The owners of ISUZU.
ISUZU owners and ISUZU related issues. So what CJ has asked is a very interesting question. Why I was saying is interesting is 3 years ago, I met this business owner. And the business owner is, if I can use Victor's analogy, I think it's second generation, not first. First generation, I think, might not be it. And he asked me one question. Kevin, my son today is in the US, and I'd like him to run my fleet from the US. Is it possible? That was his question. And he told me, if you say it's not possible, then my relationship with ISUZU ends now. Similarly, I remember 4 years ago, a school bus was delivered to a school somewhere in western of Uganda, not here in Kenya. And the students refused the bus. They said the bus for the nearby school looks, actually the actual word is funky. It looked funkier than the bus that had been delivered. And the headmaster was in a lot of trouble. So as ISUZU, 2 things we are currently investing in. The first one is on the design of the vehicle, so that we move with the times, because currently there are things that are becoming mandatory in a bus, because a school bus is an extension of the classroom. It's no longer just being used as a vessel to travel. So that means with technology, students should be able to access basic things like Wi-Fi seated in the bus, so that if there's something you want them to check, they can be able to do it. The vehicles right now, you can be able to push in educational material through screens. So what I'm beginning to see, schools are having screens, and the purpose for the screens is so that they can be able to push lessons as the vehicle, especially if they are transiting from one city to the other city. The other issue is investing in technology. Today, ISUZU has invested heavily in technology, and currently all our new generation vehicles are coming out with what we call ISUZU Connect. The ISUZU Connect system is a system that will be able to answer that first question that I was asked about succession. Because with the ISUZU Connect system, straight from your phone, the question I was asked 3 years ago, you are able to do route planning. So today, from your phone, you can be able to see that this route is busy, and children being picked from point X definitely will be picked late. But there's a vehicle that possibly is crisscrossing the same direction, but it will be able to reach those students faster than the vehicle you had planned to go there. So you can be able to quickly communicate to the driver and tell the driver, can you change course? So that we don't have these children who are supposed to be picked at 5 being picked at 5:30, and vice versa when you are dropping them in the evening. With this new system, it will be able to tell you, seated, even if you are seated here today, your vehicle is due for service next week, and the service workshop that is closest to it is in point X. This is a tool that is now helping you be able to manage your vehicles better. If you want to geofence, you want children to be picked within a certain geographical area, the same tool will be able to geofence the vehicle. And if by chance the driver veers off the geofenced area, you get alerts. It's able to give you alerts in terms of whether the driver is harsh braking, he's driving very fast, so that now you are predicting your journey. The last bit of it that now we are integrating is cameras. We want to integrate cameras. And the idea about integrating cameras is so that you as a school director, it's not that you want to be intrusive, but you are able, when the vehicle is out on the ground, because remember, when the vehicle leaves at 5, the only time you get to see the children is 6:30. But if you have the capability of being able to see the children in different locations, that changes the way things work. So we're incorporating a camera, and we'll start with the school directors. And in the near future, we'll want to expand the scope so that even parents can have visibility of their children when they're in a school bus as they go to school and as they come back home. That is now based on technology. The last one that I'll be able to talk about is in terms of, I understand Victor talked very well when he said, let's start delegating. Let's start getting new people to do our business. If there's something schools are very good at, is molding young children and ensuring that they meet their dreams and their aspirations. So my request to directors, the issue around you servicing your vehicles, the issue around you maintaining your vehicles, ISUZU has enough workshops, it has enough skilled people. Delegate that task to us, and we'll be able to remove a very big headache from your system, and you remain doing what is core of your business, that is being able to mold our children. Thank you.
Into the discussion. Fanta, you're a genius. Now I want to move into challenges. Sometimes we glorified by how best we solve challenges. And Kimani want to ask, what are the challenges and the steps directors can take in the event you are planning a succession, particularly so of someone that you have earmarked, maybe one of your children or relatives, or someone you want to groom, but they do not share the same vision or mission, and they are resisting.
You are in trouble.
And when you're in trouble, what do you
You're
do?
in big trouble, because you cannot force someone to succeed if they don't want.
Correct.
It means that they have no interest in what you're doing. Actually, Victor earlier around said about the issue of people buying into your vision. So you either try to sell that vision to them in one way or another, but otherwise you're in trouble, big trouble.
All right.
But it is hard, let me tell you, CJ, it is very hard for someone who's not going to buy into your vision, because there's usually a resistance. For example, I was picked as a church treasurer, but I had resisted. I would not have offered myself. No, I wouldn't have.
Okay.
But someone somewhere said, this guy can be able to do it. Then when my lead pastors asked me, I said, oh, okay, I can.
And you managed to do it and do it very well.
Even though it's like I had bought into the idea that we need professionalism here. We need to move on. We need to grow this organization, this church. But if the person has not bought into the vision, I think it is
Very difficult.
pretty.
Types of insurance policies, maybe if you have some at the top of your mind, can school owners use to secure their future and the school in the event of maybe death or disability or incapacitation?
Thank you, CJ. I think first I want to begin by taking you back to the loan protection. I want you to know that there is credit insurance. Every time you get a loan, either from a bank or from a SACCO, insurance companies give credit protection. And the advantage, as it was alluded to, is that in case of your demise, then the loan, going by the policy, the loan is cleared, is paid paid in full, and therefore they cannot come for your property or they cannot come for your kin just to ask them to pay. I want to say that for disability, we have medical cover that would cover generally the directors or the staff of the school. It can come in terms of the family of the directors, the family of the staffs that are there. You can have WIBA, Work Injury Benefit Act cover, and that is a compulsory cover directors. I don't know whether it is here where I say that, did you know that that watchman, you pay 10,000. In case anything happens to them while on duty, if the worst happens, in case of death on duty, and we are lucky to have a legal mind here, they will tell you that before the court, this guy will be awarded his dues. And Work Injury Benefit Act demands that if anyone dies in the course of duty, they are entitled to 96 months' salary. So if you're paying them 10,000 per month, how much is that? 960,000 PAP, you're just required to pay. And with only 5,000 premium per year, you would have protected that watchman. And that covers all of your staff. In case of disability, there is cover under medical, whereby the medical bill can be paid for disability. Life policies as well would come in place where there is disability. And allow me to say this. I think it's a culture for us Africans. We wait and see something happens that we want to learn. But when it comes to risks, we go ahead of the risk. We protect before it happens. And even if it doesn't happen, I want to give an example. Some client came and said, I have been renewing my medical policy for the last 5 years. I have never claimed. Why don't you give me a rebate? And then I tried to reason with them. I told them, it would have been better for you not to fall sick. And even if you never fell sick, insurance works as a pool. A pool whereby every policyholder comes to drink from. So every time you pay premium, you may not claim now. Another person comes to claim. And it's like a merry-go-round. So when you take insurance, you are pulling resources together. That's my urge this afternoon to us. I don't know whether you have a policy in your school. Don't feel that you're paying out to our insurance company. Don't feel that you are benefiting someone else. It is for your own good.
Fantastic. Great. I think it's home and dry. Now we move to Ali Kamau. What are some of the integrated professional management systems that you've put in place as a school to make sure that at least you may be able to transit from one generation to the other? Maybe some AI applications or something, which maybe our directors here can be able to borrow and do something with it.
Thank you so much, Bwana CJ. You know, when the CIC was talking, he was talking about technology, and you know, Jeff Koinage normally says my or my, and I was saying my technology or something. You know, I hold masters in IT, and specifically in AI, and artificial intelligence, dear directors, and technology is overtaking things. Right now, we cannot run away from it. I'm pretty sure that we are busy-minded and we are becoming less intelligent, but the technology is learning. So let me just talk about the artificial intelligence, a little bit of it. It is a very complex field of computer science, and it has so much use currently in health systems and education systems, per se. We have, in LITEC group of schools specifically, we have integrated AI and the technology, and we have invested heavily in that. simply because we may have personalized systems that may be used by students who learn at their own pace. You introduce the concept in class, they go learn by themselves. I'm saying that we are eliminating tuition teachers slowly. I know some teachers here will not want to hear that. But then we also have systems that can help tutors to generate exams and so on. And I would want to come to the management level. You know, this is where most of us are, and we are very busy. Actually, right now, you could be having lots of emails that you need to respond. Google itself has invested heavily in artificial intelligence, and we have chatbots. I will want to mention one that everybody has heard of, ChatGPT. It's a basic and paid version, but did you know, even without a third-party application, when I came in the morning, I saw Wi-Fi password being displayed here, and I was like, oh, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I have, I'm connected. And I think everybody has a connection right now, and you have a phone. So let us try to do something right now. It could be something that you've not noticed is in your phone. So kindly take out your phone and simply just go to the messaging app. Don't go to WhatsApp, don't go to Snapchat and so on. The messaging app. In the messaging app, you will see a small star somewhere.
Take them slowly.
Yeah, in the messaging, normal message, the one that you receive your M-Pesa messages from.
There
if I
know.
say that, I think you will reach there. Near in the message, near new conversation, you'll see a small star somewhere. It's a very small one. It's purple in color. Let me describe that really quick. Somebody has seen it?
Yeah.
That small star. Have you ever tried to know what basically it has? Somebody? You don't know. Let me teach you now. That small star, if you go to the messaging app, there where you see start chat. That small star there, it's purplish. Click on it. There is a small star somewhere. It sometimes depends on the kind of phone, but most phones have. I'm not trying to diminish somebody, but most phones have. Specifically, the Android. If you have an Android phone, it has. Even the iPhone, which has 18 plus version, has that small star. Is called Gemini. The Gemini is a very powerful free AI tool.
Yes.
Did you see that? The Gemini, you can search later on your Gmail. I'm sure you have a Gmail account somewhere. On those applications there, you'll see Gemini. This is an AI tool that was introduced by Google. It's a free of charge service. Now, if you are there, you will see RCS message. Don't ask me what that RCS message means. I will tell you, ask Gemini right now.
Yeah.
It will tell you what RCS is. Specifically, if you are a person who is very busy, traveling, doing this, you have emails, Gemini can help you to draft an email. It can help you to write a recommendation letter. It can help you to come up with a business plan of extension of your own school, provided that you're giving it the right information. For example, if I would want to open a school in Uganda, do I even know policies in Uganda? Probably if you have a Ugandan here, will tell us. But if I would search universal values to increase or to actually expand my business, like schools in another country, what do I need? What protocols do I need to go through? Even it might give you some legal advices. Of course, I'm not saying don't go to the lawyers, please go, but you will have an idea. So specifically, in the administrative level, myself, I do answer mails, and when I go to the mailing app, I just, there is a code that I write, * something, and it drafts me a reply. I just go through it really quickly. I don't need a secretary. Really quickly, I go through it, customize it, click send, and I'm done. In 1-2 minutes. But you'll say, I have so many emails I want to reply and so on. So for Teachers, yes, there are tools, paid and free, but for management level, we may use those tools to actually help make our work easy. It won't do everything for you, but you will need to customize that draft. It will make your work easy. And I will want to tell ISUZU, invest in AI in your buses. Let them know that these kind of students are going very far and they are going through Ngong Hills. That bus should tell them what is the history of Ngong Hills.
Wow.
You know, this is technology. It's going the way that we are supposed to be. You know, and we visited. We had a very nice trip. Directors, take your teachers and your administrators to other countries. You will learn a lot. We went to Kazakhstan. What I saw there, I wanted to tell my directors, look, bring my family, let them find me here. Because I was seeing things that are happening that outside this world, you know. So technology in education is quite very important. We have expert systems that are doing that, and all these guys here who are advertising technology here, most of them using AI.
Panamachoka. As we conclude, there are these things that you feel are a no-go zone. Some values that you say, this one, if I want to mentor someone to do succession planning, these ones are no-go zones. Things that you cannot compromise when you're grooming and when you're telling people this one is a no. Like the way you said, you cannot bring, if you have a lazy son, next to Bwana Ali. What are these things that you can say you must really, put close to your heart when you're grooming?
First of all, you should have given us these questions, man. You're throwing deep questions there, and we're supposed to answer off the cuff. You guys feeling the pressure?
No, you're up to the task.
Anyway, yeah. So I'm really enjoying this conversation. I've learned so much. Although you're firing people there, you fired the transport manager, you fired the tour guide there. Yeah, you're firing tuition teachers. But this is a rich conversation because as a director of a business, when you're looking at the business, and every stakeholder in this place who's looking at a business, you have to think long term. When you start thinking long term, there are some things, it's like when you're on a plane. Most of us probably travel to get here. If you flew, the higher you go, the more other things start becoming small. Yeah, you stop seeing people, then you stop seeing cars, then you soon stop seeing roads. One of the things I've learned is you must work very hard to get your hands off the steering wheel. We've been talking about transport here, so let me use that analogy. Finance, for example, directors, if you're still writing checks, you're in the Stone Age. Stop writing checks. That's not your job. All right? Leave that to your finance manager. Come up with a way of monitoring the way checks are being done, the way it's being, the authorization. Let somebody else write the checks. Let somebody else balance the banks. Let them give you a report. If you don't have a system of monitoring that bank right now while you're there, you will not be able to monitor it 20 years from now. So you might as well lose 2 million shillings before you lose $2 million 20 years from now. So I would tell a director of a business, get out of the finance office and create a system of monitoring finance. The other thing that we need is we are still in the Stone Age in terms of managing performance. How many of us still do those end-of-year appraisals? You sit, do I like you? This is the time you come late. This is what? That's Stone Age, yeah? You need to invest in a software. Right now, we are actually at Fred's Ranch building a software where 85% of your performance appraisal will be done by the system. So you have guys who log in biometrically, right? So they clock in biometrically, they clock out biometrically. So why are you still discussing whether or not this person came late? The computer should tell you, out of the days you were supposed to come, these are the days he came late. Now, you have got payroll software. The payroll shows you how many times the person asks for an advance. The payroll shows you how many times this person took leave that was arbitrary. So why are you still discussing somebody's commitment to work? Let the system compute. These are the number of leaves that were unscheduled that this person took. And so this person's reliability, we can give it a percentage. Your warning letters, key them into that software. It will give them a score. 1 warning letter gives X score, 2 warning letters gives Y score, and so on and so forth. So we are actually working on a software to be able to aggregate all these different indices so that we can tell you, the computer will tell you, you're already out of 85, you're at 75. Now 15%, let's discuss whether I like you. Our food in the kitchen, we're in the hotel industry. We have a software that will be able to tell us how long the food takes. So right now on my tablet, I can tell you how long food took yesterday. Yesterday, I was in school doing my PhD exams. So I don't need to be there to make sure food is arriving on time. I know the average waiting time yesterday from my software is 23 and a half minutes. So when I meet with the chef on Monday morning, I'll just tell him, boss, you're supposed to be on 20 minutes, you're on 23 minutes. Any issues I need to know about? So you can leverage IT to get you out of the office so that you have these people running after systems, not running after you. So that gives you the ability to smile at everybody at your place of work, and you don't have to be the enemy. So get out of the office, especially out of finance, so that you can stand across the table from your finance manager and say, why didn't you give me profit last month? Many of you are still asking that question and moving to the other side of the table and answering it. So you need to give them a threshold. You're supposed to make this much. This is a budget. You're supposed to make 7% profit. If it's a top line that has a problem, I know I'm asking the operations manager. If it's a bottom line that has a problem, I know I'm asking the finance manager because it's a cost-saving issue. So that's one thing. 2, your children. Man, I love your answer, Steve. Steve wasn't diplomatic. He said you're in trouble.
Yeah, he did.
Because you see, we are asking that question at the wrong place. By the time you're asking the question, what happens if my child is not interested? The game is over. We had 95 minutes of the game, and we had 5-0 down. So if you're here and you have a young child, can I say something controversial? Me, I'm not in the industry. Can I talk freely? If you have a young child below 12 years, below 15 years old, and you're a director of a school, in my opinion, your child has no business in boarding school. Your child has no business in boarding school. Now,
all right.
I saw the confusion in your face.
Okay.
Because you're agreeing with me, but you're thinking, wait, now I run a boarding school. So you're conflicted, right? But you know I'm right, isn't it? Because I'm speaking to owners of schools. Boarding school is not what it used to be when we were young. So the values that they are picking up in that boarding school, first of all, could be wrong, but most importantly, they are not being taught how to run a business or to run an empire in boarding school. Seed time from your place of work, come home early, pick your child from school, come home and discuss. Talk about their life, talk about their sexuality, talk about their business acumen. I was talking to someone today and we were saying the reason Indians succeed is because they teach their children from a young age. So the philosophy of money for Indians is different. So we as Africans were taught money comes at the end of the month. So you wait for money at the end of the month and you hope you have enough money at the end of your month, not too much month at the end of your money. The 12-year-old on Saturdays and Sundays is in the shop in the cashier station.
Correct.
So the 12-year-old Indian girl, her understanding of money is money comes in every day and money comes in coins. So when you give an African, most of us here who are Africans, when you give your child 1,000 shillings, because I'm speaking to directors here, this is airtime, isn't it? You give that to an Indian child, their philosophy is totally different. They respect coins and they expect income to come in every day. So get your child out of this environment where you have ceded your responsibility to be a parent to a teacher. Bring them home and parent them and teach them how to love that business, or at least what it does for you. And then one last one. If you are evading taxes, that's the most foolish thing that you can do. You cannot do succession planning through corruption. I know you don't like hearing this, but if you are an owner of a business, you have no business on that Zakayo story. The only way you build a business that lives beyond your generation is through taxes. So you walk right through KRA. You pay your VAT, you pay your income tax, you pay your payee, you pay all your taxes and declare them honestly. If you have two sets of books, you are in trouble because you can't bequeath corruption to another generation.
That is a parting shot directly from Machoka. He's not like Kasungu advocate or anything, but he spews real sense, you know, that we should come in with clean hands, right? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to the end of the panel discussion, but maybe just if there's anyone with a burning question, which I doubt,